STONKS. Here to talk about the craze of this week. Jimmy, this is something you specifically wanted to do, and I'm pretty interested in it as well. And we have Dave Giles here with us.
Yep, Dave Giles, a good buddy of mine. He's also my one of my financial advisors. And when all this news hit, I saw a lot of people on social media saying, "What's going on? I don't know much about the stock market." A lot of people are interested, but they don't understand it. And so I thought, you know what? So Dave, I haven't talked to you about this. Dave knows me as James, the business guy. He doesn't know me as Jimmy Van, the Fightful guy.
Yes.
So this is a different world for him.
Well, fortunately for him then.
But basically we use the Twitch channel to talk non-wrestling, non-mixed martial arts stuff. Cool. And so I thought, let's go on and explain what's going on. And the reason I wanted you here is because I know a lot about this stuff, but you know more.
Yeah,
and so I appreciate it. Yeah, that's why I thought I want to talk high level to explain what's going on for people that might not get it, because it's just a lot of shenanigans and corruption, and they're doing it again now because I saw the stock prices going down again because they're trying to manipulate it again. So it's a lot of dirt. So this whole thing started because of individual investors, non-corporations, non-hedge funds, individual investors in a Reddit group called Wall Street Bets. And they identified a bunch of stocks that were being shorted by big firms. And when I say being shorted, I'll pass it to Dave to go into detail. You can buy long or you can buy short. Buy long means you want the stock price to go up. Buy short means you want it to go down. High level, Dave, explain how buying short works.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks so much. It's it's nice. Thanks for having me here. It's big pictures. This is my 12th year as a financial planner and working with clients and managing money. At the end of the day, the goal is to make clients money, and the goal is to make money for, the more the client's portfolio grows, the more I make in commission, and everyone's always happy, right?
Dave makes a lot of commission.
Yeah, I wish. I wish, but yeah. At the end of the day, it's I sell more mutual funds, index funds, ETFs. So there is another layer of investing out there, and that's hedge funds. That's a little riskier type of investing. What you can do with a hedge fund is you can do options. You guys can do it yourself too as individual investors. If you're experienced enough, they'll run you through the gamut depending on your trading platform if you qualify to be able to do options. But so a lot of these hedge funds managers, the issue what I liked about the market and the freedom of the market is you're able to put your company out there on the stock market because you want it to grow. You want to get an injection of new capital, new money in there. And that's the exciting part, is you're hopefully able to increase your stock price. So you're able to build new infrastructure, increase your company size and grow and make profits, and then everyone wins. Well, then there's these hedge funds out there that unfortunately they see another way to make money is they're making a bet that the company's stock is going to go down. So what they do is they basically sell the stock, and then they're forced to buy it at the price. That the price goes down, then great, they made money. They basically able to take it for a win. Now, if the price goes up, they lose, and they only have a certain amount of time that they a call price that to basically to buy back that stock. Yeah. And that's what's happening. And the fantastic part, there was a stat there, over 98% of the stocks that had a float of more than 50% that were that basically had these call options. There's a 98% increase in the share price of those stocks. Generally speaking, those stocks are supposed to get hammered.
Yep.
Those stocks are supposed to, GameStop, unfortunately, bricks and mortar, AMC, no one's going to see a movie right now. So generally, if this wasn't for the individual investors, the David versus Goliath, the Davids to rise up and form together on these, these Reddit sites, like you were saying there, Jimmy, and it's amazing to see the shift of in the investing landscape. I've never seen anything like it in 12 years. It's so exciting.
And so there's been a bunch of firms that have been spotlighted. Melvin Capital is one that comes to mind that shorted it. Melvin Capital, I think, was the catalyst because somebody did the research and they saw, okay, this firm is basically betting that Gamestop is going to go to shit. They want this brick and mortar company in the middle of a pandemic that's struggling. They want them to go to shit. And I want to give a high level example for people. So just so people, if they're new to this, they understand. When you buy long, let's say that a stock is at $10 and you buy 1,000 shares, you want it to go to 20 so that you can sell and make $10 a share. That's what everybody knows when it comes to the stock market, and they call that buying long. When you buy short, which is what these funds did, they're borrowing the money at the current price. Then they're hoping that it goes down because then they have to cover the spread. So if I want to use the same example, if the stock price is currently $10 and you want it to go to 5, you're borrowing, let's say 1,000 shares at $10, you're borrowing it. And then if that price doesn't go to 5, if it goes to 20, now you've got to cover that $10 a share over 1,000 shares. That's how it works. And in the case of these fund companies, they bet tens or hundreds of thousands of shares.
And some of them are naked shorts too, meaning they don't even know if they have those shares available to purchase.
Right.
So, and that's why there's over 100% of the shares are outstanding. Like, because how do you get over 100%? Because these naked shorts are happening. That is driving up the amount of the float of the shares, and they like no one there to buy it. So that's why Robinhood's saying, let's shut it down, which is nasty.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Robinhood.
I'm getting off topic here, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about it because they definitely picked the right name. They picked the right name for their company.
Oh, what an ironic name. I mean, it doesn't seem like stealing from the rich and giving to the poor here.
It's unbelievable.
By the way, Jimmy, you keep leaning out of your camera shot. Just so
because I don't know where the camera is.
It's right there. It's right there on the screen in front of you.
We were having trouble setting this up, and I told Sean and Dave I set it up the same way I always do, and for some reason it wasn't working.
It's right here in front of you, but that's it. But yeah, Robinhood got an awful lot of flack this week. They shut down trading of, or at least to some degree, of GameStop, I think Nokia, a couple
AMC,
of others.
Yep.
So I'd actually bought some Nokia, and almost concurrently with that, the stock took a pretty significant dive.
Yeah. Well, the next thing that I want to ask Dave. So, like you said, there's a settlement date where, if you short a stock by a certain period of time, you've got to settle up, because otherwise these guys will just like sit there and let it hold. So the time comes where you have to settle up, and they issue a margin call. And when that happens, if you fell short of the threshold, you got to pony up the dough. My question for you is, there's a lot of speculation, and I haven't had time to do the research to confirm it, but there's a lot of speculation that today a lot of these funds are going to be issued a margin call. Yeah. And so the last couple of days, they've been trying to manipulate the stock to lower the price, which we'll get to in a minute. My question for you is, what happens if a margin call is issued and these funds don't have the money?
If the margin calls issues and the funds, the companies doesn't have the money to come up with it?
Yes, the companies that shorted the stock, they don't have the money.
They have to bring it up from somewhere. They're going to have to borrow from another hedge. And that's what a lot of these hedge funds are doing, is borrowing from each other.
What about a bailout, the government bailout? Like, do you think that's something that might get to that point?
That could be. Well, man, would there ever be a revolt if they said we couldn't pay for this, right?
Well, so there's a lot of
the individual investors, but we're gonna, they're not gonna get a bailout if they're putting their money on the line.
100%.
But yep. You're gonna bail out these hedge funds. That would be pretty disgusting. I really hope that doesn't go that far. But right now they're trying to just borrow from each other to come up with the money before they can get out of the stock, and trying to find ways to basically convince people to sell. We saw this with marijuana. All of a sudden, marijuana stocks had that burst. People are getting out of the market, and once there's a flood, and that's the issue, some people are going to lose. Once there's a flood of people getting out of the market, watch out, because it's going to drop like a rock. That's the scary part is when, but right now everyone's in it together. Everyone's on these threads, and they're basically creating some great growth for it, but they're going to have to borrow against. They have to come up with the money.
A lot of people. We have a question. I'm sorry, Sean, somebody asks if they can push the deadline back.
They'd have to keep buying it.
Okay. Yeah, they have.
Like if they keep active transactions going on, they can do it. And one of the things I've heard today, and this is another thing for you, Dave, because you just know more about this than I do. But one thing I heard is that these funds are now buying long whenever the price drops, because they want to now try to
average out their position.
Yes. Yeah. So whenever it drops, like I think yesterday it got down to like $120. So now some of them are buying long. So they're buying it at 120, wanting it to go to 400 to cover their bet on the short.
That's smart.
And what? Well, it's smart, but they're manipulating the drop.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
true.
that's what makes it stupid.
Yeah.
So they're manipulating the drop so they can buy, and it's so corrupt. But I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. I want to talk about Melvin Capital because they were kind of the catalyst. On Tuesday, January 26th, they decided to close their position. That means that they decided to take the loss and they decided to buy the stock at whatever the price was and eat the difference. They had to be bailed out. And where this got really greasy is two of the firms that bailed them out. One of them was called Point 72 and the other is called Citadel. And together they invested a reported $2.75 billion in Melvin Capital to help cover the losses. This is where it gets greasy. You got to remember the name Citadel.
I was just going to say.
Yeah, Sean, remember the name Citadel.
Yeah.
So Citadel on Tuesday gives Melvin Capital money to bail them out because they were up shit's creek, basically, right? According to Business Insider, as of Wednesday, the total short selling loss sat at about $5 billion. And that includes Citadel, who shorted, and that includes other companies that shorted. So then you look at yesterday, the 28th. Yesterday is when these big firms started to manipulate the price. And people are going to ask, how did they manipulate the price? They did it by pressuring the discount brokers. And Dave, I'm going to throw this to you. Explain what a discount brokerage is and how it works, because I know that consumers might be watching this thinking, it's interesting how these companies like Robinhood, they're able to do either limited fees per trade or zero fees per trade. There's a reason that they can do limited fees per trade or zero fees per trade. Can you explain, Dave, what a discount brokerage is and how it works?
So great question. So I was talking to a client today who has a Robinhood app. He's a dual citizen, so he's in the States. And yeah, he couldn't buy any more. Just watched his share price go down yesterday, and it just drove him absolutely nuts. So discount brokerage is basically a company that a brokerage firm. So here in the States, in Canada, we have the banks. If you wanted to sign up with a bank as a brokerage firm to use them to trade your stocks, it's going to cost maybe $9.99 a trade to buy, $9.99 to sell. You get some of the more discount brokerages like Interactive Brokers or Quest Trade, a bit cheaper. Interactive Brokers is based on the unit price of how much the cost of the share is, depending on how much the cost of it's going to be. Where Quest Trade's average is maybe $4.99 a trade, a little bit cheaper. But you basically have to find a platform to be able to buy and sell the stock, right? So the unfortunate part, when Robinhood closed, they only allowed people to sell the stock, which artificially helps Citadel, which is
they let the funds buy it.
Yeah. Which is their backer, right? Citadel.
That's right. That's right. So these discount brokerages like Robinhood, the reason that they're able to offer either limited fees per trade or zero fees per trade is because they don't make most of their money off individual investors like you and me. They make most of their money by selling the order flow to the bigger firms like a Citadel. That's where their money comes from. And I saw Robinhood's books, Sean.
Yeah.
Who do you think Robinhood's biggest client is?
Probably Citadel.
It's Citadel. Yeah. And what they do is, let's say that Sean Ross Sapp buys Apple shares from Robinhood. Robinhood does not go to the exchange and do your trade. Robinhood sells your order to Citadel. Citadel can then decide, we are either going to fill the order in-house, so we're going to be the buyer on the order in-house, or we're going to put it out on the market. They make the spread as their profit.
And that's a large amount sometimes.
Yes. And that's how they make their money. And the reason why the Robinhoods of the world are able to do, no fees on a trade or limited fees on a trade is because they want the order to sell to Citadel. And so what makes this whole thing greasy and really, really stupid is Robinhood. They call themselves Robinhood. They say that they're the app for novices. Their app is, they break things down very basically so that novices or individual investors can kind of figure out how it works. But the reality is they're in bed with a big firm like Citadel. And the reason yesterday that they restricted trade, and of course they're denying all of this publicly, but the reason that they restricted trade is they did it to protect Citadel, among other firms. They did it because Citadel not only now, had to invest in Melvin to the tune of whatever it was, them in Port 72 was $2.75 billion, but they did it because Citadel themselves have shorted the stock. And so by not allowing individual investors to buy it, that meant that the demand went down, activity went down, the price per share went down. That means that when the margin call is issued and Citadel's got to make good on that spread, if the stock is cheaper, now their spread is a lot less. And that's
exactly.
For people like me who I just got into investing last year, there's a common question: what is the likelihood of legal implications or civil implications, like lawsuits or a class action or anything like that, based on a lot of the basically throttling that's going on right now?
There's already class actions happening, but Dave, what do you think is going to happen? Because there's, I guess, Robinhood, there's already class actions, and I don't want to just single out Robinhood because others did it too. E-Trade did it, TD Ameritrade did it, and I read this morning about one in the UK. I can't find it in my notes. I believe it was called Free Trade in the UK, who posted on Twitter that their bank and their foreign exchange partner told them that they would not allow U.S. orders.
It's quite alarming. It's going to lead to lawsuits, and people are going to be able to try to fight for their money, try to fight to get some money back. But they have to show proof. They tried. It's very hard to now show tangible evidence that you wanted to buy a stock, right? Like how can you prove that you were on there trying to buy that stock and had that money available to do so? Maybe you were going to pull a position from somewhere else and then rebuy, but what are you going to pull money in cash just to show that you're going to put this position? You're probably not going to do that, right? So how many people are going to track that and keep track of that and notify it? Because this class action lawsuit is going to take months and months and months to pan out, right? So that money is going to be redeployed in other areas. So they're going to probably get away with it, which is so nasty to see. Now, so what I wanted to just clarify what Jimmy's saying with that spread, that's huge. That's the difference. So let's say you're buying a stock for you see it's $9.99. Great. You try to buy that stock at that strike price, but you order it saying, I want to order and I want to fill my order at the market price. So the market's going to give you might see it at $9.99. They're going to fill it and say, okay, someone hit your order at $11.
Right.
Like, oh, damn. Like, why did I not get $9.99? Oh, the stock went up a little bit. Why is it back down to $10? They artificially inflate the stock price to give you that, basically that difference. That dollar is what they get to keep. Their commission charge basically is what they're calling it. So it's nasty.
See, I always try to do limit buys.
I was going to say that next thing. If you are buying, try to do a limit buy at a certain price.
I always try, and sometimes, especially, let's say if it's gotten really hot and it's starting to drop, sometimes just because I want to be able to get in, while it's still high, I'll go market. Every single time what you just said happens. Yeah. Every single time, especially if I'm selling. Maybe I'll sell and it's currently at 480 and I'm sell. And on the iTrade thing, you got the little thing like this. You know what I mean? Yeah. And by the time it actually goes through, you got 450.
So that happened to me. I was, again, as a layman, I don't know a whole lot. I bought AMC in August as one of those things. I invested a lot in entertainment, a lot for me, things that I knew were going to recover. Last week, it was doing terrible. I try to sell, and then by the time it goes through, it dropped 20%, from the time I hit the button, and that's a significant amount of money. And me looking at that stock, I'm sitting there fearing, oh my God, they're going to freeze all trading of it, and I won't even be able to get this massive gain that I got. And I see that a lot of other people have similar issues with a lot of freezing and things like that. But that cost me 20% of the gain, obviously, on AMC. I think it was yesterday or Wednesday.
And that is not by accident. And the thing is, all of these trading platforms, they have market listed as default. Mm-hmm. You have to actually go into the drop down and pick limit. If you don't pick anything, market's going to be your default.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
Limit and I always do limit day. So if I'm going to buy something, I'm saying, okay, this is the price I want to buy it at for the day. If it doesn't hit this price, I don't buy it. Maybe I'll want to jump on the bandwagon and try to buy in a little bit later. But
I do that too.
And sometimes like an hour later, you get a pop up on your app say, great, your order was filled or partially filled. Sometimes they'll only partially fill your order because they only have enough shares to give you to partially fill your order. But it's fine. You're like, great, you're getting the strike price that you want. So it's really important.
So let me ask you this. So GME, as we're doing this, is back down under 300. It went over 400 this morning. And again, the rumor is that margin calls are going to be issued today. The price, I assume, is dropping again because they're trying to manipulate it again. Yeah.
Yeah. Or are people scared going into the weekend?
I don't think so.
That's the worry.
Why would they sell at 290?
A band of brothers are some starting to get out a little, and you have those nervous Nancy, so to say. Like, this is a lot of money for some people, right? Yep. Like, there's a lot of people that they've have their whole education savings, or they have money that they've saved up for a down payment, and they're putting it all on the line on this one stock, right? So of course they're going to get nervous, right? And that's the thing you gotta watch out for. If especially when it's a situation like this, where we're not trading valuations, when it's an arbitrarily inflated number. We're not saying that this stock is worth this price, right? Like, we're trying to, it's educated gambling is really what it is, right? Like, it's at the end of the day, it's kind of what led to the shoot up with the marijuana stocks, as I mentioned. But again, if you have everyone on board and everyone's going to continue to drive the price up and really screw these hedge fund managers, then that's great. That'd be fantastic.
I saw a list of limit sells, because I think it might have been on the Reddit group. They posted a list of Reddit sells because they're trying to tell everybody, don't, hold, don't sell. So they posted a list that's, I guess, public, where you don't know who the person is, but you can see the pending trade. And everybody was in at 400, 410, 420 on that list. And they haven't hit that since earlier this morning. I don't know if anybody, I'm sure some people are looking to sell at 290, but I don't know. To me, it feels like, I mean, let me ask you this, Dave, how reminiscent for you is this of 2008?
Yeah.
In terms of the manipulation.
Yeah. I guess I never really thought about 2008, about big corporations screwing over the little guy. Yeah, that could be true. Yeah, I never thought about that, but yeah, it could be very similar to that.
This is what I think of right away. I mean, everybody's seen the movie The Big Short. Everybody knows what happens in 2008 with mortgages. And they were, doing these subprime mortgages. They were bundling up, calling CDOs. That's what they were calling it. And they started trading on it. And long after these subprime mortgages went to shit, the companies that had shorted it, their valuation had not dropped. And they were getting all kinds of pressure because they had shorted it, and it was a shit ton of money, and they're getting pressure that you got to get out. And it was because the banks were manipulating the price, because the banks were shorting their own CDO. They were shorting their own subprime mortgage garbage. And I feel like it's a similar thing now where they're just trying to manipulate it.
Yeah, it is. It is all about the manipulation right now. That's for sure. And it's what side's gonna hold strong, really.
So what do you think the aftermath is going to be? Do you think, because I looked up Robinhood and I looked up Citadel. They've both been fined by the SEC before. Yep. Because there was questions about Citadel's ethics when it came to what I was talking about, when they buy the order and then they resell it. And like you just said, Dave, about how they're, even if there's a little bit of time in between the buy and when they sell it, they make that extra spread.
Yeah.
So they've been fined by the SEC before. Robinhood's been fined by the SEC. Do you think the SEC is going to hammer them hard?
They have to, because you can't limit one way or the other. Like, if you're going to stop trading on something, you stop trading completely. You can't just let them sell. That is when there's been a manipulation. You're allowing a stock to be sold, but you're not allowing it to be bought. That's fraud. There has to be aftermath, especially when you're in bed with Citadel. They have to come after them. They will. They have, they need to make an example of this. It's quite ridiculous. So I'm excited to see the aftermath for these people, but again, I just don't know how you're going to prove that. That's the hard part, that you wanted to buy in at this price, and then maybe by the time but by the time it comes to fruition, it's all gonna be over, and everyone's gonna been probably got out of the stock by then, right? Like, that's the hard part, is now how far is it gonna go before everyone drops, and for everyone to make to make enough money that they're satisfied, right? That's the hard part, is is when is it going to be enough for, they always joke around that bulls make money, bears make money, but pigs get slaughtered, and when is that point of all capitulation where it's enough's enough? I
want to mention the name Scott Wapner from CNBC, because I saw him on CNBC yesterday, because I think we're all in agreement that what's going on is pure corruption and market manipulation. But some of these analysts are actually trying to defend the Robinhoods of the world, which is so stupid. And this guy, Scott Wapner, yesterday he was on, and I forget the gentleman he was talking to, but he said he questioned the integrity of the system, not for allowing the funds to dictate the price, but he was questioning the integrity of the system for allowing individuals to be able to do this on Reddit. And he said investors because that he's part of the problem. He's part of the establishment. He said investors who shorted the stock weren't wrong. That was his sentence. And what do you think of that? I mean, it's so stupid because
it's free trade.
And not only that, but the reason we're here is because these funds were trying to short GameStop by up to 140%.
You're trying to crush the company. You're trying to like hurt people's livelihood. Right. Like you're basically trying to take down a company. That's what's wrong. Right. That's comes down to nuts and bolts of it. Like you're trying to bankrupt a company, trying to not let them have enough money so that they can, pay their employees, get back to work when this is all over. And a pandemic, you're trying to basically take them right out and make money and make profits off of it. That's what's wrong. That's the most discouraging part of everything, right? And it's so cool to see, a different platform of people getting together, having one common goal, to save a company, make some money for themselves, and sure, have people flaunted it of what they've made. Of course, but that same thing happened with marijuana. I remember people posting about, look at my lime green Mustang because, I made so much money on my marijuana stocks.
It's irritating the hell out of me right now.
Yeah.
There are people on social media, and I know most of them are full of shit anyway. People on social media are saying stuff like, I made $10,000 on GME, so I'm going to give you $1,000 if you retweet this and follow me. They're using this bullshit to try to get, basically bullshit followers on social media. I hate that kind of crap.
Would you like us to do that for Fightful though, Jimmy?
Please don't. Please don't.
Just saying.
I should also note that today, which is the 29th, the Robinhood had to raise $1 billion from their existing investors in order to cover the losses that they're going to incur, and because of the class action lawsuits that are happening. That's going on.
Good.
Wow. Now, a last question for you, Dave. Do you think that we could see new regulations come out of this?
Yeah. There has to be something. I never thought of that yet, but yeah, there has to be something to be able to limit these exchange platforms from. Sure, if something needs to be traded because there's a lot. There's normally what happens when something gets halted is because there's a lot of new information coming out in a short period of time that people have to all understand, digest, be aware of, and that's where for a lot of these companies. If they're, you see BlackBerry had a post saying, we don't know what's going on, with what's happening. The management's like, I don't know, we don't know why our stock's going out of control. So normally people do that. They do it after hours. There was nothing happened here, right? Like there was no announcement being made with GameStop. There was absolutely no need to be able to halt and stop a share being traded. That's the most nasty part of all of this. So yeah, if they bring some new regulations, I'd be all for it. That would be fantastic. I'd love that. That's great thinking, Jimmy.
What are your thoughts on, like, where do you think I know you're not a guru, but where do you think the price is going to go? It's under 300 right now. And again, there's a lot of speculation that there's going to be a margin call issue today. So what's your prediction?
If there's a margin call issue today, then the stock's gonna fly, right? Like if there is a margin call, if there is a limited amount of shares out there, so if there are more and more that are bought, it's just gonna keep driving up the price. And if you have a lot of people on board, they're gonna continue to keep jumping on board. When they see it keep ticking up higher, more people have more trust. They're gonna want to jump in and dive in and put more of their hard-earned savings into it. And also, I guess also in reading these feeds, and it takes a while to change platforms. It's not like you can just say, I know if I'm moving money out of Quest Trade or moving into a different platform, it takes days until I get the cash back. So you got, unfortunately, a lot of these people that are closing their accounts with Robinhood, and they haven't been able to redeploy that money yet. So it might be not till Monday by the time they redeploy, and then there's a whole new set of people that are there to buy the stock on Monday. So if we're going to continue to get this level of enthusiasm, this level of conviction to help these companies and keep driving up the price, and yeah, I can see it continuing to go up. That's just, you got, stay tuned to these threads and make sure that you know exactly what's happening before you put and that you're able to risk this money. I just, for a lot of those people, I just don't want them to lose. They've worked really hard for this money. This is, we're not talking fundamentals. We're not talking price to earnings ratio. This price to earnings ratio is in these stocks. Like normally a stock is traded at 15 times earnings. this is out of control. This is way over 15 times earnings. So be cautious on that. You see Zoom that's traded over 2,500 times earnings. So so just be careful on that. Know that it's the money that you're okay to risk, and if something happens to it, and everyone pulls and you didn't follow the herd and didn't get out in time, then that would be the biggest thing I could say, is just be cautious with it. But I think it could keep going up if we get this optimism that continues.
I've seen people in the thread saying that when these firms are forced to buy at the shorted price, that it's going to make it jack up. Some people were even speculating 10,000 a share, 20,000 a share. I don't know if I see that happening. I think I'd be happy if I even got 1,000 out of it. I'd be ecstatic.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing, is it's because there's such a short amount of shares left. It creates such a demand that just makes the stock go absolutely crazy, right?
Right.
So we'll see how it goes. I'm really excited to see what could bring, right? It's an awesome time. And this is not just what this is going to continue. This is going to be a trend, and this is why the overall market's down today. Is because so many people are saying, like, this is something that's going to continue to happen, as they're going to jump on the next thing to ride the wave up.
Yeah, that's been part of the problem in the Reddit groups, is that there are guys that are trying to get a stock that they happen to like individually, and they're trying to get this momentum behind it. So they'll be like, oh, look at this going to the moon. Look at this going to the moon. And it's just one guy with one stock that he happens to like, or maybe he's got a lot of stocks in it. So you got to be able to weed through that crap.
100%.
I'm staying in it. Like I'm not gonna lie. I've got some and I'm holding it. I'm not dropping it, even for if it goes to 400 or 500.
Fightful to the 100%. Moon, Jimmy.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, just look at, and just look at Tilray. I remember, I'll never forget when they went up and hit it was 140 plus. I remember watching and thinking, I was looking at my neighbor, he's a stockbroker, and we're chatting about it. I was like, are you absolutely out of your mind? This thing's at 140. I'd be selling all day. But again, there was not a following like there is right now. There was not a Reddit group where everyone's, basically in it together. Sure, it definitely ended up coming back down to normalcy, but yeah, I just when that happens, it's just you got to get out quick. And that's the thing, is you might want that limit price. Just don't take the market price. I know Jimmy and I are saying limit price is key, especially when you're buying into a stock. But if it's a free fall, which it could be, make sure you just get out as quick as possible. I just don't know when that's. I think it continued to happen because it's, depending on these short positions, these institutions are going to fire back hard. And like you're saying, they're coming back to start buying. To now, if people don't know how many hedge funds are buying and selling, that's a scary part.
Somebody told me that the funds were buying from each other because that way they can try to manipulate the price to a degree. That's one thing that I heard today. So I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. It's a lot of grease and dirt, but I'm going to stick with it for a bit. Yeah,
no, I like it. I love it. It's amazing.
Sean, do you get any other questions for Dave about anything?
I don't, at least not as of right now. We do have someone that says if they can ask if they can watch this back later after the 24-hour window. I'll put this on youtube.com/Fightful Scraps as well, because I think this is a valuable thing, especially for a lot of our viewers who are just, quite frankly, learning about this and getting into investing, and may have made or lost a bunch without knowing what they were doing. So
I was chirping Sean jokingly on Tuesday because I had never heard of this meme stock stuff. I had seen on a news ticker about GameStop, but I hadn't really looked into it until Tuesday. And then when I started doing my research and I saw, holy shit, this stock was how much last week?
Yeah.
I told Sean, I'm not going to say numbers on the air, but I told Sean on Wednesday, this is how much I've invested today. If I had invested this identical amount on Monday, here's where I'd be today in terms of and it would have been significant. So I guess all I can say is, Dave Giles, you didn't call me either about this stuff.
Well, so that's the issue is and that's the hard part of me with the financial planner is we can only sell mutual funds and index funds. So unfortunately, there's no GameStop. Like, we can't buy individual stocks, and that's the
well, you can still give me the tip, and I can do it myself.
Hit up your boy Sean Ross Stonk here.
I've done a good job of not losing you any money, so I want to make sure that continues. To be honest, right?
Dave, he's got the human printing press right here. I mean, come on.
There we go.
I like it. I appreciate it. But all I can say is be careful, because it's you see it's really cool to see. I guess it started for me with watching Ryan Cohen buy into this, who was the CEO of Chewy. And he, I think his average price is like $5 a share or something.
I wish. Can you imagine?
Ridiculous. Like, he has made so much. So he sold Chewy to PetSmart. Unloaded, just absolute bank. And I think there's a lot of people like that. Once they have a CEO, a really successful entrepreneur on board of a company and creating this great aura behind it. Who knows what's going to happen next? Who knows who's going to happen to be that one person to say, okay, this is the next stock we're going after. And that's this cool, really exciting spot about this, I guess, is just the ability of the masses to come together and get behind something that they believe in, and especially when there's manipulation like this, that's really driving a poor company to the ground. That's the unfortunate part, and let's stop that, and let's just band together and allow that these hedge funds to stop making so much money.
For sure. And I heard the story today about Keith Gill. Do you know the name Keith Gill?
No.
So he is the kind of the king of the Redditors in that group. He was the first guy to get into it in 19, I believe. He got into GameStop, and it was a few bucks at the time that he got in. And what he does is, and he's been doing this for over a year, he'll post screenshots. And what is it? YOLO, YOLO, you only live once. Yeah. So he'll post screenshots with YOLO showing where he's at, and he's been doing it because it's been his way of trying to incent people to get in. And the last time I saw his position, he was at around 80 million.
Wow.
And I guarantee you, he did not invest anywhere close to 80 million.
No, definitely not.
Throwback mentions a guy who had put, I don't know if that's the accurate number, but he ended up making $4 million off of a pretty humble investment in GameStop and AMC. But it's madness. I love it.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Dave, I appreciate your time, man. Again, Dave doesn't know me as the Fightful guy. He knows me as the business guy. And he comes to my office and we go for lunch and stuff. And lesson learned, Dave. Even if you can't sell me stocks, you can give me tips. So don't forget that.
Okay, I will. I'll hang in there and fire them your way as they come.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Guys, thank you all so much. As if you needed hyped up. What else can follow this? We have something called Booty Pro Wrestling following what you just saw.
Excited to watch the playback on
that. 8:30 Eastern, because we only bring you the highest class of entertainment here on Fightful. Dave, thank you so much. Jimmy, thank you so much. Well, learned a lot today.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Next time, guys, we're out.
All the best, guys.